Hi, Guillaume. How are you? Great to see
Very
you.
good, thank you.
Fantastic. I am so excited to have Guillaume Black here from Property Filter. Hi. Oh, I'm absolutely thrilled to be showing this to to all the people in my community. I think what you have in Property Filter is absolutely phenomenal. So we'll just jump straight in. Just tell me, what is Property Filter?
Yeah, thank you very much, Emma. Thank you. It's great to be here. So very quickly said, so basically it's an online platform and it's where all the deals are. So what we've done is we match and merge all sorts of information from the internet, property listings, government database, and we put everything to one place. And it's all about finding motivated sellers. It's all about finding deals. And I'll show you in a minute, it works for every strategy. And this is where, serious property investors come really to get results, to get deals and get traction in property. So I'll start to show you around. So this is what this looks like. So it's a website. There is nothing to download or install on your machine. It's meant to be used on the computer right now. So on your Mac or PC, we will release an app for your phone and tablets and so on later on. But for now, please bear with us. It's meant to be used on the computer. And I often say that property is a people business and it's a numbers game. So it's people business because you want to buy from motivated sellers. The deals are found where you find people that need to sell, and then it's a numbers game. It's all about converting all these good leads into great deals. So it's why the two main aspects of Property Filter are built around these lead generators. I'll come to those in a second, and the pipeline. So finding the motivated sellers, and then the pipeline where we convert all these good leads into great deals, in a very predictive way. So imagine you had three full-time VAs, 3, 5, 10, even 20 people on your team that goes everywhere on the internet, look for deals for you that match your criteria. So it's effectively what you get here. So every one of those blue cards here is what we call a lead generator. But basically, they are machines, where we set and forget our criteria. So think of them like a safe search, but they work and run themselves all the time. So the way
that's what I love about it, Guillaume, is that, but part of this that is so powerful is that when we're looking at Rightmove and Zoopla and all those things, we can start doing our research and we can highlight them, we can heart them, or all of those kind of things. But inherently, there's still quite a bit of memory that we have to use.
That's
And
right.
I don't have that kind of memory, and it's really frustrating to kind of keep opening up, keep going back to your Rightmove, checking if you've written any notes. So having everything in one place, as you're explaining and going through, I find just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's really about moving away from this place where we have to memorize all of Rightmove, all of Zoopla, etc. And mind you, this goes on. It's the equivalent of having Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, all in one place and a few other little portals. So whilst you're here, you don't need to go anywhere else. And the way it works is, you don't have to scroll through pages and pages of stuff, every day, open a new tab. So you can have as many different strategies and area you're looking at. You can set these up, quite a bit. Most people have got less than 20. And the way it works, it starts with some area. So where are you, Emma? Where do you wanna look at something somewhere?
I don't know. Let's look at Tunbridge Wells. That's near me.
Yeah, is that a TN postcode?
Oh, I don't know what it would be.
Yeah,
Let's do.
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
I know my British geography. I know, like, really, really good. So, and the way it
Amazing.
works, so you put a postcode, a bit of a radius, and then you can bulk add postcodes, by clicking here. And this is an advanced tool, so it works postcode by postcode. And the idea here is you don't want to waste your time on areas you don't, you're going to be, you're never going to buy a property. And because the biggest mistake you can do, and it's what most people do when they started, including myself, is to go, like Birmingham, 50-mile radius, sort by price, and then you go, in the very, very dodgy areas, and then you're okay, what have I done? You've lost your all weekend, and then you do this a couple of times, and then you become a lot more strategic usually. So it's why we work by postcode. The valuers use postcode, your values and comparables follow postcode. There's a lot of things that follows these, and hence, you can add and remove things, on the map here quite easily. Once you're happy with your goldmine area, and again, you can have different strategies in different places. We move into the strategy, and this is where you've got the different templates. So so there's 3 levels of details basically with the strategy, and the first one is the strategy template, and it's where we've preset things for you so you can just get stuff, you know, like ready in one click. So the first one will be HMOs with permitted development. So these are like C3 houses outside of Article 4 areas. So you'll see we digitalize all the Article 4 areas. So it's looking for these. You can convert. Existing HMOs, so it's looking for, on this one, so additional criteria could be number of reception rooms, 100 square meter plus, and things like that. On this one, the existing HMOs, so these will have things where like that pick up some keywords where you know there are HMOs. You can target low EPC landlord-owned properties as well. So we know there are investment properties owned by landlords, and they've got a bit of a liability growing on themselves, you know, before next year. So they start to feel the heat pretty soon. So
Or not.
they'll be motivated. Yes, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, I never thought of this one, but yeah. My dad joke. My English
Yeah, I've added to it.
my English dad joke repertoire is growing. Thanks so much. And you can look for a large 1-bed flat you can turn into 2 beds. So again, using the square meter, you know, the surface search. Short lease properties. So we've got our own proprietary lease length properties. So you can target short lease properties, what I call the buy, don't refurb, refinance strategy. And I really, really like. Then we match properties that are for sale as well as to rent. So yeah, so again, for your lease options and things like that. Negative equity, so we were talking about this just before the call.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at a few opportunities like this, so that works quite well.
Yeah, after this call, I'm making an offer on a negative equity for a lease option. So yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Buy, refer, refinance, and flip. So basically, it's looking at low EPCs and some keywords. You can go direct to landlord for your rental properties. You can find your commercial to resi, your sort of classic buy to lets, and then we pick up keywords for things for blocks of flats. You know, so for example, in this area, we can look for. Do you want to look for something specific, like short leases or anything?
Yeah, let's look for short leases and what.
Yeah. So remember area strategy. First level of strategy, we've got some templates. The idea with this, you get started, you know, quite quickly, and these will be let's call them short leases. And see, it just creates one lead generator here together with the others, and then it just goes and find all these properties, you know, that might match this criteria. But then you can always duplicate, and this is where you can modify your area if you like, modify your strategy, and this is where you've got your second level of details, and this is where you can do basically pretty much everything you want here. Looking for freehold properties if you want to exclude these. We don't want listed properties, for example. We want to exclude auctions, and that's our second level of details. That'd be properties for sale. Let's say if we are looking for I don't know, for maximum 4 beds, for example, and maximum I don't know the price range or where you are, but let's put something like that.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't put a max on Tunbridge Wells. It's quite a high price.
Yeah, right. Okay. Remember, we're looking for investment properties. And that would be sorry, I didn't give it a name. There we go. So there's no sorry. You know what happened here? Because I duplicated on the lease lengths, and to remove them from the advanced filter, I wanted to show you this part. So first level of details, the template. Second one, the strategies. You don't have to go into
deep down. So like I know when we were looking, I've got it with a 1 to 2 bed. I've changed. It was a bit bigger, and I've changed it to 49 square meters. For me, for that one.
Yeah, sorry. So just with these, so basically what I meant to say is that you don't need to go into all these details. You can use the templates initially, then you can tweak and play, you know, the number of bedrooms and price and things on this view here. And then as you get more comfortable with the tool, you've got the advanced filters here where you can look for bathroom counts, reception room counts, you know, surface area and things like that. You can search properties by EPC. So this is how we find our flips, and by refinance. The last sold difference. So this is what we call the negative equity. Works really well. In or out of Article 4 areas. owned by companies or not. So you have company details and ownership details. Your lease lengths are here. You can go straight to a specific agent, and quite a few other things. Got a few amenities if you want things to be within a radius of universities and
wow, it's so
hospitals.
detailed, isn't it? I haven't even got to these bits.
Yeah, you don't need to care about all these bits. It's just like as you get more advanced, and if you look for something really niche, I would say if you start out, just keep the filters quite wide, and then you can refine, on specific strategies. And then on keywords here, so there's quite a few things. You can look for mixed use, existing HMOs, cash buyer only, and quite a few things.
No chain, that's useful, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. So for this one, we could go and look at all of these, for example. So I want unmodernized investment, cash buyer, probate, repossessed, quick sale. This is no chain. This is the kind of, and we could call this the motivated, like more motivated, motivated plus, for example. It's just to give them a bit of a name. So these are properties where we know there's a bit of an issue, up to 4-bed, and then then we move into the inbox. So behind every lead generator, there's a leads inbox, and it looks like this. So on the top right, you've got your available properties, your sole subject to contract properties. But then where do we start? Because we pull the data from everywhere, you've got everything. So it's quite a lot, all in one place. And remember, my promise to you was that we were going to stop scrolling. So where do we start? And really, what I'm about to share now is really what got me out of my day job in 18 months and just scaled my whole property sort of journey, is when we started to qualify the viewings we're going to, and we say, okay, let's only go and see properties on the basis that the vendors will be motivated. So it's why we created this motivated seller banner here on the top left. And the first port of call, you see, because you see 90% of the properties out there, give or take, will be a waste of time. So rather than scrolling and randomly booking viewings based on the pictures, the layout, only to turn up at viewings where the vendor is not motivated, everybody wasted their time, you go straight to people where they've got a bit of a pain, a bit of an issue. So first port of call are these properties where the sale fell through, came back on the market and was reduced. And if we look at the details, this is what it looks like. So the blue line here is the price history, and the background is the availability status. So green is available, amber is all subject to contract, and sometimes you'll see red when the property has been withdrawn. And what this means here is that the property was put on the market in September last year at 225. Then they dropped the price in November, my birthday, and then just so you guys know, and then this sold subject to contract on the 6th of December, and it came back on the market just yesterday. So this fell through at the time of recording, just yesterday. So, and it goes to show, like, amongst all the possible properties you have, you go straight to something like this where they've sold their house, kind of during a decent market place. They couldn't get a mortgage, and now it's coming back on the market where the worst time in a decade where you could be selling your house. So these guys, they feel the heat, as you were. So yeah, and then another one, reduced a couple of times, sold subject to contract, came back on the market, and then again and again. So you can navigate through this list like this. So look at these ones, they moved from 325 to 275 over the course of the last 4 months, and they had a sell fall through. So you see that amongst all the people you can be buying properties from, this is where we want to focus our efforts. And the story is the same, repeats. All of these are sell fall through and reduction. So and then so this is one where we've got multiple agents. So you told me you went to see one of these just earlier. So what we see here is the current listing. So we've got an agent now listing the property since September last year. So it's been sort of 6 months. But then before that, so at 450 and then 400. But before that, it was with another agent from August to September at 475, and before that with yet another agent between July and August for 485. So you see, you've got all the history of not only you'll see when multiple agents are listing the properties right now, but here for the purpose of this, we are quite lucky. We found this a bit by chance. you've got all the two agents that listed the property before, and we had the conversation just before.
Yeah, I mean, I can say it's amazing. So Guillaume had said, yeah, it's really useful to go back and speak to them, and I have done now, and it's really useful. I mean, one of them had literally, it was on the fourth agent, and the first one wasn't that useful, but the other two were really giving a lot of information about the vendor situation, and why supposedly they pulled it. And so by the time I then got to speak to the agent that it was listed with, I was, I had an armory of kind of information and felt more confident to speak through. And in fact, for that one, it made me realize that it was not ever going to be a goer for me. But that was really useful, just having those few calls very quickly led me to a decision quite early on. And then I've just, well, you haven't mentioned it yet, I've just then put it into wait, well, I see in the middle at the top, wait until next change. So this poor chap's definitely going to have to put it down, because again, he bought it at the absolute.
You might get it as an option at the end, Oh well,
maybe it's just so high priced. It's hard to see what to do with it. Poor chap, feel for him, and he needs the money to move on.
And so that's exactly right. So the agents can be a bit funny sometimes. When they lose an instruction, it's never their fault. So they'll tell you everything about the property, everything wrong about the vendor this, the vendor that, the property this, the property that, because they have to justify themselves, and literally they can't shut up, because they have to justify themselves. And when you go and speak to the current agent, you know more than them.
Yeah. So what's interesting when you've got back here, and what I really like about this is you're sort of basically, so obviously we've got about 90 properties available, and 10% of those we're going straight into what we would consider it to be the most motivated. So you've given them 5 stars worth of motivation by the look of it. And that's really right. Really so powerful, to be able to go into those first, see which ones work, and then slowly make your way back. So it is, as you say, rather than this just scroll with the amount of work that it takes to find half of this information, you just don't get it. So to jump straight to this level of motivation and this level of confidence as well, because you suddenly feel very confident calling up agents with this information. So it's been an absolute game changer for me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's why we built it.
Have I said it right?
Yeah, no, that's really right, because you could spend a lot of time wasting your time, basically, because most of the things out there are a waste of time, and most of you guys will be doing 5 to 10 viewings a week anyway, or you'll have 5 to 10 conversations, with vendors anyway, per week. So you might as well have them with the people who are the most motivated. So it really helps you to focus where you're gonna have the most, the better yielding results, like the more interesting conversations. So it's why we created this, like star sort of system, where the first port of call are these, are the most motivated ones. Then you've got the ones that are back on the market, but not necessarily reduced. So all these are all properties that fell through. And you've got the reduced, and it doesn't matter how reduced they are. Obviously, the bigger the reduction. So I've got a 20% I've seen here. The bigger the reduction, obviously, the better. So here we go. So we've got two different agents in there, so you can see the 2 different listings. Oh wow! So one started at 250, then the later one was another one was instructed a bit later, starting at 225, and they dropped the price together at 220. So it's quite a big drop. So you'll see, like the bigger the reduction, the better. But obviously, it doesn't matter. All of these have got a bit of a disappointment. You need to put yourself in the shoe of the vendor here. They've lived all their life in the best house in the world. They've got their kids' memories, kids' birthdays memories, the Christmas memories, and the festival memories, and all of these things. The best house in the world. And then when they decide to go and sell their house, it takes them a while to decide, and they go on the likes of Zoopla. They fill a form, to ask for a valuation, and then they get 3 to 5 agents, outbidding each other and say, oh wow, we bought this place for 40,000, in the 90s, and now it's worth 10 times more. Who knew? And then because everybody's addicted to their right move alerts, on day one of it being on the market, like they just oversubscribe with people. So it's the definition of, it's the opposite of being motivated, if you like. So, but then because of low offers, low interest, and time, and the media. These are your two best ally and in the current climate. The agents manage to sit in their mind, that maybe, the market has changed and, all of a sudden it's not the best house in the world. And once they reduce the price once, it doesn't matter again by how much, it becomes a lot less emotionally attached, and a lot more transactional. And then the door is open, from there, it's no longer the best house in the world, basically. So the level and the quality of the conversations you'll have with any of these will be way above, anything else. So.
And I really love the sold subject to contracts as well, greater than 90 days there. That's really useful. There's quite a few in my area that I had been, I had been sort of looking at, but, it wasn't top of mind. I've got quite a few other deals going on at the moment. So they were just back in the background. Anyway, they're now in sold subject to contracts. But what I've really liked now is that I can have an alert. So it will literally tell me when it's back on. And some of them have been on for so long. I am going to, start calling them up and following up from there. So that's really useful for me.
Yeah, that's basically where our members today get the most results, with those that are back and reduced, and those that are sold subject to contract since a long time. And this one is a bit more speculative, but basically you've got, we know that 30 to 40% of sale fall through. And so therefore, the longer you leave something sold subject to contract for, the more likely it is that they are going to come back on the market. And if you look at what your competition is doing, your competition is on Rightmove, and they type a search and they click next, and they didn't opt in to include the sold subject to contract, and most people don't. And it's really a case of observing the masses and doing the opposite here. And here you've got the ability, you've got like a whole segment, of the motivated seller banner here, just about looking at those properties that are sold subject to contract since a long time. I've got here 90 days, but you can put whatever is a long time for you in your area. But basically, these are great. There's two schools of thoughts here that works really well. So personally, I will always advocate, you want to play the long game. You want to work with agents to make it to their little black book as soon as possible. So, and by this, I mean, you want to ring all these agents basically and say, oh, I'm really interested in this house. I see that it's sold, what's happening. And it might take a couple of conversations because sadly, a lot of agents, when they sell a property, when they sign the memorandum of sale with the offer being accepted, that their job is done, they move on, they don't make the deal happen necessarily. They don't help with the conveyancing or anything like that. They just look for the next instruction. A lot of the agents do, but not all of them. And so when you call them on the first time, they'll be like, oh well, it's sold, because they just look up on the system and say, oh yeah, I can see it's sold, but it's been like 3, 4, 5 months. What's happening? Oh really? And then you call back in the afternoon or the next day, and then they actually looked into it. Oh well, we spoke with the solicitors, and it seems like someone is not getting the mortgage, and the vendor wants to put it back on the market, and they know that they are in a very sensible position now, because it's a time where most vendors will want to shift agents, so they've got a problem, and they'll be very, very happy to have someone on the phone who can solve their problem. So they'll tell you, oh, right, do you want to see it? Or if you might need to convey a bit of certainty, like give them some certainty, like you are the next best thing. But basically, you can find yourself in someone's property where the vendor is just not impressed, underwhelmed by the agent and the whole process, having to sell the property in the worst possible market, where they missed all the hype of last summer. The agents got a problem on their hands because they can't get enough instruction right now. So every sale counts. They want to make it work. You've got no competition around you because remember, nobody's been looking at this, and therefore you can make an offer, that works for them that they might not have looked at, like 3 months before, 4 months before. So it works really, really well. Sorry, you were about to say something, Emma.
No, it's just like, yeah, boom, absolutely. When they say, oh, it's, they can't get a mortgage. I hadn't actually thought of it from the estate agent's point of view, because they are going to be in a position where generally the vendor is going to be like, oh, I don't want to go back to them necessarily. Whereas if they can actually call up and say, look, I see it's been going on for a few months, it's not working, I have actually got somebody else in the background, then they're obviously more likely to stay with that agent. Yeah. Is a win-win all round.
Yeah, absolutely. So the vendor is going to blame the agent because the agent sold them the idea of the first vendor being the first buyer being the best buyer. And the second thing is exactly what you said, is that when you call someone to tell them about a problem, it's always better to come with a solution as well. So when the sale falls through, they probably want to say, oh, this is not happening, but I've got this fantastic guy who just want to buy as soon as possible. So
Gal.
it works
Or
really, really
gal
well.
with a hat.
Exactly. Or a guy with a funny French accent, it's one or the other. Yeah. But equally, you can't work with all agents. So another thing our members have been doing. So sometimes some national agents they have got a lot of turnovers. They don't really they don't really care, and then some staff are quite junior. They don't necessarily know about property, and they are a bit of a problem. So you can always take all of these direct to vendor. So you might have noticed here we've got most of the full address of properties in there. So you've got the full postcode every time, and you've got the full address on most of them. So if you remember, you guys might be experts at the yellow Google man and reading doorbells numbers and bin numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've spent a few hours doing that myself in my time. So you can get rid of all of that because most of this will be automated. So we've got the full address here, and so you can also click a button here, and this is where this is going to download the list of all your properties. And then you'll have to pardon my French Excel, which comma separated file is not. Here we go. So it should look like this for you. And then this is where you've got your postcode, the list of the addresses, a few other information here. And this is where you can mail merge. This. You can send it to a bit of a system, and then manage your campaign letters. And something that we've seen work really well is a letter that goes like this. Congratulations for the sale of your property. We hope that everything goes well. If something were to happen with your buyer, we are desperate to buy properties on your street. We buy properties at market value because it's whatever you pay for it. So it's a very clever hook. We can save you agent fees, and we complete in your time scale. You are in control. Please call this number, blah blah blah. So you send a letter that speaks exactly to the pain of the vendor, exactly at the right time, and then this is why this converts really well. So on these 30 properties that are here, I guarantee you 15 to 18 will fall through, and you'll have more than half of them will call you basically. So it's really worthwhile. Spending a few quid on letters here. That works really well.
And I have to say, this is just so much quicker. I mean, I had a bit of a campaign over 6 months where I used to send out like 10 a week or something.
Yeah.
It was a very painful process, and that's just amazing, and yeah, you can just mail merge it. I use my own handwriting with calligrapher, and I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, so now you've got the kind of spreadsheet, so you've got the list of the addresses, and you can manage this offline. But bear with us, we've got a little button here with a direct to vendor campaign here, so which we are building right now, and so you'll be able to do a lot of this through Property Filter in a short while. And so so that's with the sort of lead generator. So you set and forget your criteria, you go straight to the motivated sellers, and then the last bit is going away. We talked about this earlier, where you have to memorize all of Rightmove every day. So you'll be scrolling through pages and pages of properties today, and then when you come back tomorrow, you'll be scrolling through pages and pages of the same properties again. And the truth is, when we see something, we either like it or we don't. So this we've looked at just earlier. So we might say, okay, yes, I want to work on this, hell yes, save it to my pipeline, and the pipeline is where I'm going to work. Remember, we are in our inbox here. Think of it the same as your email inbox, where you'll have things you want to work on, you want to save to your kind of a workflow, and then things you never want to see again, you will archive. So you can do the same here. So hell yes, save to the pipeline. Hell no, never show again. And you see, once you decide once and for all, and once you've decided, the system will remember what you've saved, what to disregard it, so that tomorrow, when new properties become available or fall through and come back on the market, you only see the new stuff. So once your competition is scrolling through page 7 on Rightmove, wondering if they should go and have a look on Zoopla, it takes you a few minutes of your time to say, okay, these are the few new things, add it to my pipeline, never see again, okay, boom, let's go. And it's the difference, where most property investors out there, your competition is spending 70% on their time procrastinating, looking at properties on their phone, on Rightmove and the likes. It takes you, less than 10% of your time, here, and you can then spend 70% of your time really on what makes money in property, doing deals, speaking with the vendor, speaking with the agent, so it frees your time from this procrastination and you go straight to
and when you go into the pipeline, so I really like it, as you say, you kind of, it's like, I've got quite a couple of big blocks that I just don't want any properties in there, so it's like, don't show me again, and suddenly I've got nothing there. But then this is the pipeline, and this is what I really like. So in that due diligence part, so yesterday, for instance, I had a number of agents to call, but for instance, one property, don't know why, but both of the agents didn't answer. So I've been able to, just highlight that, put a note in, which tells me that today I need to call them, which has been absolutely, so it's in there, add the action, put the note in, and I put in that date at the end, and it's just been brilliant. So today I know that I need to call up to do that. So that's been great.
Yeah, so we've got this follow-up action that comes up here. Yeah. So every step. Yeah, that's awesome. So it's great to see you running with it as well, Emma. It's awesome. And
I'm all over it like a rash. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. I think
as you say, for me,
you only started just recently, and you're already doing great. So it's really great. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, there's just the whole memory thing was just such an issue, and it was quite painful in my brain. So therefore, there was naturally, I'm not really a procrastinator, but it was just naturally a lag to it, because I felt like I needed to kind of like get myself ready. You know how you've got a big thing to do and you feel like you have to sort of get yourself ready. So it's not something that I could just spend 10 minutes doing. It's like, right, I've got to sit down, figure it out. Whereas this, I can just go back in very quickly, check it for 10 minutes and not feel that kind of labor.
Yeah, it's a big weight over us all the time, because we think that this big mountain of all these properties there, and we need to find the needle in the haystack, and then the list never ends. With this, it's result driven. You know what you need to do, you know when you're done, and it's very, very effective. So you can do the stuff that make money in property, going out, speak with the vendors, etc. So with the pipeline, so the idea here is that, again, we want to remove this overwhelm. So every step of the pipeline is an action to take, where you know what you need to do, you know where you're done, and it's all about transforming all these good leads we find just earlier, and converting them into deals by taking action here along the pipeline. And again, every step of the pipeline is an action to take. And this is where, so the whole property filter thing is very much of a blueprint, very much of a methodology. So the first aspect was to go straight to the motivated sellers. And then with the pipeline, you remember I told you property is a people business and it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game, and it's where most people waste a lot of time. And there's a few people that are way above their competition, in this game, because they are very effective with their own, and they respect their own time. And this is what we've done here. So the due diligence stage here is really not about, over analyzing, fall into analysis paralysis. Is to decide, okay, let's spend a bit more time on this one we looked at before. Is this going to be worth my time or not to go on a viewing? Are these guys going to be motivated or not? And then we decide again at this stage if we push it to the next stage, or if we delete it, hide it. It's a hell yes or hell no, basically. And when we commit, sorry, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, actually, that first one that you've got there. So hold on, so is it, it's a 2-bed, but that's interesting. So yeah, you just pointed that out. I hadn't seen that earlier. So we can see that this is a 2-bed flat, 62 square meters. So, a good size, but it's in negative equity. So that little price tag is -13. So that's incredibly useful as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can see that these guys, they are struggling to sell at a loss.
Yeah,
so they've had this property on the market for the best part of I don't know, quite a few months now, and they paid 138 back in 2007, and the market is not picked up with what they paid for it, and today they kind of need to sell, and they're struggling to sell at a loss. So these are great, because they could well be in negative equity, where you can do an option with them. There's quite a few ways you can make this work. If there's no mortgage, options work great. If there's a mortgage, option work great. There's so many ways to make it work. Say they bought this with a 75% mortgage at the time. I'm not going to be good at the math here, but you can recenter the whole conversation around the asking price about what are they trying to achieve. So for argument's sake, let's say if they bought this for 100,000 and they tried to sell it for 80, and they have a mortgage at 75%, you know. So it's recentering the discussion not on the asking price, but on what equity will they take home at the end. And all of a sudden we move from a 6-figure conversation to a to a 4-figure conversation. So really they're trying to sell this to achieve like 5 grand of equity. So we could give them this in form of the option contribution right now, you know, so they'll achieve what they want to achieve. And then you can babysit the property on an option for a while. And then what's the worst thing that can happen, you know, they get to sell it again, you know, in 5 years, you know, if you don't perform, you know, if the option expires. So yeah, it all, you know, all of this works really well. So on the basis of this, I would say, okay, great, this is worth my time. They've got a problem, so anybody with a problem is worth our time to go and try to see if we can solve it and make something, you know, that works for them, works for us, works for the universe, you know. So this is where this property, for example, we say, okay, great, hell yes, let's move it to the next stage and organize the viewing. And this is where all of this turns into a very simple CRM for deals. And I would say the only CRM for deals that is live with the market. You'll see, I'll come back to that in a sec. So we might say, spoke with Sarah, you know, the vendor or the agent, and we agreed to see to view the property tomorrow at 4 p.m. for example. So I've taken my action, start to log. It logs, you know, all my action and interaction with the property here. I'm moving into the next stage. After doing the viewings, I might have some viewing notes I can put here, you know, like about whatever information, and then I will make my offer. So on this one, for example, we might offer, offered to John. He didn't quite like my offer, and then I formalized by email with my documents, etc. And this is where I offer him the 5 grand option fee with the terms, etc., etc. You know, just as an example. And then because we've offered now, so the next step will be to follow up. So we push it in the next stage, and this is where we say, okay, unless I hear from them in 3 days, speak with them I'll speak with them in 3 days. And this is where all of this comes together all in one place, you know. So again, you see this is all quite colorful. So the idea here throughout the website is green is available, amber is all subject to contract, and then you'll have some red ones when properties are withdrawn. And you remember when I told you this is the only CRM system that is live with the market? So most of you guys that are going for it in property will have some form of a follow-up system. You'll be copy-pasting Rightmove links in a spreadsheet or in a Trello board or some kind of a...
Oh, and they always come out the wrong size and in the wrong fonts. They're very annoying.
Yeah, and the worst thing is it's never out of date. You know, it's never up to date. So it's always, as you say, it's always out of date. Because the thing you end up doing is being trapped and creating an admin mountain for you where every week, a couple of times a week, you know, you're updating the spreadsheet. So you're opening every Rightmove link. So, oh, this is reduced. Oh, this is gone. You know, and then you update the spreadsheet. And again, this is what your competition is doing. You know, they're lying to themselves. You know, confusing progress and activity. They are being busy updating the spreadsheet, whilst you run around, you know, like doing deals. You know, like speaking with agents, vendors, negotiating, do the stuff that makes money in property. So I used to have what I call my horrible property spreadsheets myself, and I was this guy lying to myself, you know, like, oh, I've worked really well on my property business tonight. You know, you do sitting on an hour and a half just to update the spreadsheet, and by the time it's done, it's already out of date. I mean, and then you start to pay a VA, you know, say, okay, surely I can't be doing this, you know. So then you start to pay a VA. It costs you £300 a month just to keep the spreadsheet going, you know, and it's just a bit of nonsense. So in contrast, all of this is live with the market. So green is available, amber is all subject to contract, and it's some really cool one are the withdrawn. So if you want another way to go direct to vendor, so anything that's withdrawn, that's red here, it's great. So we call them withdrawn because they move from being available to withdrawn. And in contrast with what we call sold, where it's available, sold subject to contract for a period, and then withdrawn. So these move from green to red basically here. And then if I speak to the agent, so I go down, get the agent detail, give them a ring, and then they'll tell us, oh, well, you know, they don't want to sell anymore. Okay, interesting. they don't want to sell anymore with you, you know, and I can see why, you know, I can see here all the reason why, you know, they had the sale fall through, they drop the price all the time, you know, we can't make it work. And again, this is another one where they are struggling to sell at a loss, you know, so there's got to be a solution that the mass market don't have, but you guys are professional property investors, you can help, you know, you can help. And remember, you've got the full address here, so you can knock on the door, you can send them letters, you can buy the title if you want and send letters to the owner. You know, if it's obvious that it's a rental property, you can do all these things. And these are the real direct to vendor stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So it works really well. So that's kind of what this does. You know, you can do, if you like the pipeline, you can add off-market properties. And this is if, like me, you're throwing letters through direct properties and then the phone rings, you know. And then you say, oh, this is Bob, you know, I'm calling about the letter. And then, because you're sending a lot of letters, say, oh yeah, Bob, you know, could you remind me about you know, can you remind me the postcode? Where was it? I've got one example for, it's near one of mine. Can you remind me of the postcode of your property? Oh, it was this postcode, and then the house number was such and such. Okay, great. And you've been on the phone 20 seconds, and you know what's the square meterage of the property. You know what they last paid for it. You know, and this is for all your off-market stuff. You know, and then you can add it here. Say that you know, Paul wants to sell it for, or Bob, I can't remember his name, for that much, and a bit of a description about the conversation. You can later on add pictures, layout, etc. And all of these you can add to your pipeline, and you can follow up on these in the same way. So yeah, so that's if you're into comparables. So again, because we've built the biggest, you know, property related database around here, you can play with you can get postcode around you and find comparables for rent, comparables for sale. You can go narrow things down quite a bit on your number of bedrooms, your type of properties, and then you'll have your average price, your average square meter, the average price per square foot, you know, etc., etc. For anything available, sold subject to contract. We've, you know, withdrawn again. So these are some that sold or were withdrawn recently. You've got all the land registry data here, which not only you've got what they sold for and when, but for at what EPC and what price per square foot, you know, square meter. And you've got all your comparables to rent, comparables available to rent and recently let. So you can use this to when you come to stack your deals. And we're adding to it all the time, you know. So there's quite a lot of analytics in here. So you can you've got access to all these data if you wanna look at the one neighborhood, you know, like what kind of people, what kind of stuff, you know, people have. So I'll just take a random thing here, but for every of the criteria here, it will tell you, you know, like the type of dwelling, you know, like if people own or rent, and it gives you quite a bit around the area. And for you guys doing HMOs, so we've actually digitalized all the article for areas in the country. And so, yeah, so you can go and see all of these, the current one and proposed one. So this, for example, is coming into force in September this year. So, you know, you can go and build your HMOs before Article 4 comes in and things like that.
Wow, that's really useful, isn't it?
Yeah. I think nobody's been crazy as us to go and download every PDF file in the council website and draw the little polygons.
And they're really challenging. I mean, in my local area, God, it's really hard to overlay it onto the map. They don't make it easy. So wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, there's no digital record of this. It's all I don't know. I've got it in my head that it's got to be like I imagine some councillors with mustache and these high hats with a red pen on a map and going like and drawing and then scanning. You know, like
half of them you think, really, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but whatever.
So we're adding to this all the time. So yeah, there's going to be more and more coming to these. So I know we cover quite a lot of things here, but don't worry. You know, like as you start on the trial. So basically, you can below you'll see there's a bit of a link to start and play with this for yourself for 2 weeks on us. There's plenty of tutorial videos that take you through like all the different steps, different strategies, and then we've got some quite a few things in here as resources. Then you get access to me once a week. So every Wednesday afternoon, we've got a group call where you can come and ask me the questions. And this is it's more advanced. People with more advanced sort of questions tends to come because we run lots of little calls as well, lots of on orientation calls as well throughout the week. So depending if you are starting out, if you're an experienced investors or resources, there's lots of calls we run every week. So if I look at this one here and I look at next week, so we should so we see we've got 3 calls next Monday and then once a day on the following day. So this is just one of the categories. So we've got 10 plus calls per week. So you always have you know, the support you need. So kind of unheard in terms of support, because we find it really cool when you call us and you let us know you find some deals. It makes it all worthwhile for us, and it's all about the results, you know. So there we go. I hope that was quite useful and fun to
amazing. Thank you so much, Guillaume. So yeah, so what they need to do is just click on the link to get, was it a couple of weeks for them to give it a trial before they can jump into it? And what kind of price is it for you know, taking on a subscription?
Yeah, that's right. So so at the time of recording this, it's £99 a month plus the VAT. And we're still in at the time of recording this, there is a bit of a deal where it's an early adopter price. So as we add more features, there's going to be more plans. There's going to be a 150 quid a month plan, a £200 per month plan. And the idea, depending on when you jump onto this, here it's April 2023 right now. Yeah, jump quickly because we will introduce more plans and prices. So if you come now, we will freeze your price anyway throughout your membership as long as you stay with us. But anyway, what we see is that people come on a trial, they see the value for themselves. So anybody that is serious about property sees the value into this and gets the results pretty quick, you know. So it works quite well, and then we become we work quite closely after all together, and it's quite cool.
Amazing. So yeah, guys, so click on the link. Yeah, any questions, you can see there's loads and loads of support. I know I'm using it and really loving it. So I'm really excited to be able to help you know, with coaching people on how to use it as well, because it really is so powerful and just saves so much time. So I'm a huge fan. Brilliant. Okay, Guillaume. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, and yeah, we'll catch up very soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Emma. See you soon, guys.
Take care.